Hi, today is Sunday, August 11th. In this episode, you'll see an update of the pumpkins, an update of the plants, and get to see how I move my pumpkins back when they're getting too close to the main vine or starting to kink the main vine. Stay tuned to see my process. Thank you. I am standing next to Snow White. She is taping almost 1,000 pounds, and if you look over here, you can see that her vine is starting to kink. It's not really that bad yet, and I probably could leave it for a little bit, but I'm gonna plan to pull it back here. I'll maybe show you the setup and then I'll show you the vine afterwards. I probably won't film the actual pulling back the pumpkin, but you'll be able to see hopefully that this is the biggest kink right here. Hopefully that straightens out. And I think this will probably be the only time I have to pull this one back. It's actually growing at a slight angle downward away from the vine, so it hasn't pushed too bad on this main vine yet. So we'll see what it looks like. Hopefully I don't pick it off in the process. So I got everything hooked up, ready to go. I don't know if you can see that here, but I have a T-post I pounded in the ground at an angle. Got a ratchet strap hooked there, and that is hooked to this toe strap that goes around the pumpkin. And if you can see, I tried to keep it lower on the pumpkin so it wasn't trying to pull up the front of it towards me, but I also didn't want it too low where it's gonna just slip off the bottom. So we'll see how it goes. There's my sexy wife assistant pulling my straps so I can readjust the T-post. Just got done sliding her back. I don't know if you can tell here, but I probably moved it good 6 inches looking at how far it moved in the sand. But this this main vine here is pretty much straight now. This secondary was really curved at the bottom. It was touching like a big almost 90, and that one is good. This is still loose, so I don't think I'll have to move it again. I just need to go and reprop the vine a little better. Also hope with moving it back that if anything was living under it, maybe I crushed it, but that I think it's just hopeful or wishful thinking. But I don't know if you can see how much it moved, if you can see the imprints in the sand here, but I'll have to inspect it a little bit better now that I've moved it back. This is the 2501 Bernstrom, so Snow White's plant. There is the stump or crown. As you can see, there are plenty of leaves that are showing their age now. I really need to get in there and clean those up. Either get rid of some of them or part of the leaves. Just haven't gotten around to it yet. You'll notice that I have a lot of weeds in there. I will probably get in there at some point. Now that we're getting to the end of like what I typically see as my biggest growth days, I'll probably go in there, put some walking boards down, and try to clean within the plant the best I can. As you come over here, something I was going to show you on these leaves right here, you'll notice that they're kind of looking a little rough. A couple years ago, I had this happening, and I had it where I had two plants side by side, and the leaves are coming up against each other because they ran out of space. And I had this happen on one of my plants, and I got paranoid that it was mosaic virus starting. And so I chopped off a whole section of leaves so it wasn't touching the other plant and wouldn't spread. And then nothing else went wrong with that plant. And then I realized it was just probably the leaves aging and getting all the nutrients pulled out of them. So that's my assumption with this. I'll probably leave them. I may, if I don't think they're providing any value, I'll probably get rid of them at some point. But at this point, I don't have plans to. There you can see Snow White in the background. She is almost 1,000 pounds today. I'll get a little bit closer and give you a better update. So this is a secondary. I've shown it in the last video, but this is a secondary that's close to the pumpkin. She's continuing to grow well. Goes all the way back just to the right of the pumpkin there. And then these ones right here are actually the tertiaries off that secondary. So I am starting to let them grow out and slowly curve them back towards the camera here. But yeah, so you'll see that those tertiaries are filling space. But you'll see it in the video that I filmed earlier of moving this pumpkin back. But I had to leave these tertiaries curved back so they didn't get in the way of me pulling my pumpkin back. So here's a closer look at Snow White. I do not plan to take the sheet off right now. You should see it off from earlier today when I pulled her back. But she is growing. We had some days that were, I think, they're in the 60s, and the lows got down to the upper 40s, and she really slowed down. I was getting, I was in the 40s, but then I think it dropped slightly before the cold snap. And when we got that cold snap, she dropped down to less than 20 pounds a day for a couple days during those two cold days. But yesterday was a little warmer, and it jumped up to about 23 pounds a day. But I've heard from others that after you get a cold snap, it does take a few days for that growth to pick back up. So I'm hoping that she is still going to pick up her growth and gain quite a bit faster yet. But I guess we'll see what happens based on those cold days and how she slowed down. But she should have a lot of healthy plant pushing her. And we are going to have some days here in the 80s with the lows back up into the 60s. So, or low 60s at least. So I'm hoping that really helps out, but I guess time will tell. So this is the main vine tip on the 2501 Bernstrom. I have terminated it now at the fence. I thought about curving it to either the right or the left just to let it grow longer, but I decided that I wanted it to push more energy. I'm hoping it pushes more energy back to the pumpkin, or else these secondaries, if you can see on both sides, there's secondaries that are trying to grow. I'm gonna probably give this plant another week to grow those secondaries. And then I'll probably terminate all of them just to push all growth back to the pumpkin. I know a lot of people terminate everything by day 40. I'm past day 40 on the pumpkin growth, but I decided I'm gonna try to get more plant out here since I have this space I can fill in. But at some point here, I'm not gonna let the plant keep growing. I'm gonna try to push everything I can back to that pumpkin. This is the 1005 Clements plant. Almost everything is terminated on this plant, partly because it stopped growing and partly because I'm trying to push something to the pumpkin. This pumpkin actually dropped down during the cold days down to less than 10, so single digits, less than 10 pounds a day, which is kind of sad for where we are in the season. It shouldn't be growing that slow. But this is, this vine right here is still got the tip on it so it can continue to grow. And this one right over here does as well. However, I don't know if that one's actually growing at all. This pumpkin it just isn't growing. It's not growing very fast. I didn't measure today to see if it picked up its growth now that we got a warm day yesterday. But this pumpkin is sitting at around a little over 500 pounds. Not where I was hoping it would be. I would love if it was, another 1,000 pounds at this time of year, but just the plant won't grow and the pumpkin won't grow. One thing I did notice, just when I was looking around, that a lot of these secondaries did not shoot down taproots. I gave them mycorrhizal inoculant and azos and something with the plant or the soil. It did not put down taproots. And I don't know if it was because it was too wet when those were growing and they just didn't form. But there's a lot of this plant that I don't think's rooted down. And it's just held in place by the dirt without the roots actually being there. And I think that's part of the reason I had so much trouble with this plant and with the pumpkin. I really don't think it's probably genetics at all. I think it has to do more with it being so wet when I was trying to get this plant growing. But who knows? Guess we'll see where this one goes. If it doesn't start picking it up here after we get these warm days, I may really give up on it and just focus all my energy on the 2501 and give that one double the amount of fertilizer. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the update. Hope you enjoyed seeing me pull my pumpkins back. Always a stressful process, but it's a good thing when you have to do it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please share and follow us on Instagram at The Turner Ranch. Thank you.